Chicago drill is one of the most influential movements in modern music, but through the late 10s its influence died down after losing a lot of the top names to the system and the grave, and watching as pioneers like Chief Keef, G Herbo, and Lil Durk moved on to different styles. King Von turned the city up going into the 20s, but met an early end, leaving a void in the drill world. However, in recent years, Chicago drill has seen a new spike in popularity and coverage. A new crop of rappers has emerged, and they're continuing the legacy of drill. But unlike in 2012, when the rappers were in the streets but mainly stuck to rapping and the drillers mainly stuck to drilling, this time around, some of the rappers involved are also the top drillers. There's video footage to prove it, and self-snitching is running rampant. These stories in the music and around what's happening in the streets have gained a huge audience, so in this video, we'll take a look at this new era of Chicago drill. Following the passing of Von in late 2020, it was relatively quiet in the city as far as the drill scene was concerned. But a duo called the DCG Brothers took off in the city with two big songs. Lil Osama, who first blew up in 2019, began gaining a new buzz, becoming one of the leading artists in the drill scene. Over on the east side, No Limit Wet came home after beating 4 bodies and began taking rap more seriously, dropping a couple songs that did numbers before eventually changing his name to Drench. One of the biggest artists in this new Chicago drill wave in the early 20s was PGF Nook, who took off with his breakout hit, What Up? He got signed, and with the label behind him, he continued dropping throughout 2022 and doing numbers.
Don't do no bap, I bet these facts gon' have them hurt. I told them hoes I'll make them viral, no, I don't gotta do no work.
In early 2023, Mellow Bucks, a new female rapper from No Limit, blew up after dropping a song called Boom that went crazy, racking up millions. She followed this up with a remix featuring Lotto that went even crazier, establishing her as the biggest female rapper in the rack. Mellow was one of a couple newer No Limit rappers getting shine. No Limit Wet, who had changed his name to Drench, was still doing his thing, and Big Op, also known as No Limit Faro, was also beginning to take rap seriously, and the fans were embracing him. Being the most famous rapper from No Limit, G Herbo would do features with all 3 of these rappers to help boost what they already had going. This movement in No Limit was part of a new wave forming in the rack. Another rapper in this wave who was closely associated with Big Op was Maf Teeski. He blew up in late summer off his hit song Catch a Bee, a huge record that made him arguably the hottest new rapper in Chicago. He also had other big records like Munyon and I Like It. The next 2 artists to take off were YFG Fatso and Vonoff1700. In late 2023, Von had 2 songs that took off in the city, Bia Bia and Free Brick Freestyle. Fatso had a song called Rilo Rod that was also doing numbers during the same time. Going into 2024, both of these artists would really take off in the Chicago scene and beyond. But at the very end of 2023, the drill scene would end up losing a rapper after Lil Osama went down over a high-speed chase that ended with Zay getting caught with automatic weapons and jewelry that tied him to arriving in New York. In early 2024, Von dropped a huge song called Ops on Deck, his biggest up to that point. Then he did a feature with Maf Teeski on a song called 3 AM in the Rack that ended up becoming a huge song for both of them, racking up over 6 million views at the time of this writing. A few months later, he dropped You Know That, another huge song. Then he teamed up with Maf Teeski again, along with Big Op, to drop Swing It, and this song also ended up doing millions. Everything about Von was working in his favor. His unique mid-2000s Atlanta beats, his glasses and the fact that people thought he looked like a nerd, and the fact that he could really rap and make good songs. It all combined to make him extremely viral, and by April, Von was the biggest new artist coming out of Chicago. At the end of the month, he announced he signed with Columbia. In May, a video surfaced of a drill caught on camera where a man in a shiesty with glasses and skinny jeans hopped out and started blowing. Many people believed it was Vaughn, and this combined with the federal no jumper interview where Vaughn said he was whacking the ops.
He is killing the ops for. I don't get no. We is killing their ass for. So tell them we is killing for. That's what we doing to the ops for. When they look at us, yes.
But when you say we, you're not saying that you personally want to be involved in anything like this, right?
We, team, whatever you want to call it.
And he used to ride in Dodge Durangos, the same car that was used in the video, along with the fact that he had several songs talking about whacking an op on camera and at a gas station, led the internet to believe he was either extremely dumb and self-snitching at AR-AB levels, or a smart marketer taking advantage of a coincidence to make his music even more viral. Early 2024 was also big for YFG Fatso. In February, he dropped Princeton Freestyle, his biggest song on YouTube to this day. Around the same time, he was seen linking with Durk, who would even announce Fatso had signed to OTF, although Fatso would later reveal that he hadn't actually signed with Durk. Unfortunately, a month after dropping Princeton Freestyle, Fatso ended up getting locked up. But he wasn't in for long and got back to dropping music when he got out. Meanwhile, more new artists were still popping up left and right. A rapper called Chucky Wackem blew up with songs like Good Aim and 100 Days and 100 Nights. He hopped on the Philly drill sound and brought his own unique style and voice to it. He was another rapper in the new Chicago drill movement who Durk co-signed early. Durk would also announce that he was signing Chucky to OTF, and Chucky confirmed that he did actually sign to OTF in his interviews.
Two hats, rich never know blood, niggas know how I get. Ain't get a chance to run, can't say that he tripped. Bounced out 4 steps, 2 niggas got hit.
Spring of 2024 also saw the rise of a new group from the east side called the Bloodhounds. The 3 main rappers in this gang were Bloodhound Lil Jeff, Vert, and Bloodhound Q50. There was also Lil Scoom 89, a rapper closely affiliated with the Bloodhounds, and he also gained a buzz around the same time. Scoom was also closely affiliated with other up-and-coming rappers like Maf Teeski and Big Op. He took off before any of the Bloodhound members, dropping a song called Nightcrawler in late December of 2023 that went crazy in the city. In early 2024, he dropped a song called Buttonland, and this record also took off. As previously mentioned, Scoom had close ties to the Bloodhounds, and around the time his name started gaining attention, a Bloodhound member called Lil Jeff was also beginning to gain attention on his own. Lil Jeff initially began making noise after dropping a song called Ah, that's believed to be about a double homie Lil Jeff was behind, because in the song he raps about walking in lids with 2 hats and making people pay the consequence for something they did. Throughout early 2024, Jeff continued to build a following off of rap and the alleged bodies he was racking up in the streets, becoming known for self-snitching on live, announcing his body count, and implicating himself in all types of crimes, from robberies to drills. His homies Q50 and Vert were right beside him the whole time, and the entire Bloodhound group was gaining motion. They had all types of beef in the streets, but would also find themselves in rap beef with fellow up-and-coming artist YFG Fatso.
Taking my key and I'll never forget little buddy. Stay on the line, his raps, that boy don't clap, her school and put a diss out for me.
Their problems began over a petty disagreement about lyrics. Scoom heard Princeton Freestyle by Fatso and thought he had taken lyrics from his hit Nightcrawler. But Fatso had made the song way before he put it out, and there's even an unreleased version of Princeton Freestyle on YouTube uploaded before Scoom put out Nightcrawler. But Scoom accused Fatso of taking his lyrics and started taking shots at him online. Lil Jeff jumped into the beef, and he and Scoom began dissing Fatso on IG. Scoom dissed Fatso on an unreleased song that surfaced on YouTube, and Fatso responded in a song that also surfaced unreleased. Fatso was a bigger artist, but Scoom and Lil Jeff were gaining a following. Scoom's music was gaining traction. He was taking trips to LA to record songs and shoot videos, and he was even working with more established artists like YBC Duel and Skrilla. By May, Bloodhound Lil Jeff's name was buzzing in the city. He did his first interview ever with DJ UTV, where he talked about his come up, rumors about him having 10 bodies and robbing people for watches. Him and Q50 also went viral for snorting perks on camera and acting like everything was normal. This clip in particular was everywhere, and even Meek Mill reacted to it on his story. Following this interview, Jeff went on a trip to LA where he found himself wrapped up in more controversy. The trip was to celebrate Vert's birthday. AMF Visuals, Lil Jeff's main cameraman, took Jeff, Vert, and Scoom to LA to record music and shoot videos. While in LA, the Bloodhounds were seen linking with established artists like Rico Reckless and G Herbo. They also linked with YBC Duel, one of the biggest rappers in the new Philly wave, who Scoom already had a song with. But despite the purpose of the trip, Lil Jeff still managed to get into street shenanigans, allegedly robbing somebody and later getting chased through the mall by the man's homies. By this point, with all the controversy around his name, Lil Jeff was getting more attention than ever. In May, he dropped a new song called LAX. But despite all this new success, less than 2 weeks after dropping LAX, the news broke that Lil Jeff had lost his life in a crazy situation where the Bloodhounds had attempted to go on a drill, and in the process of chasing an op into a house, Lil Jeff had got caught by return fire from someone in the house. Following Lil Jeff's passing, he instantly got tons of new coverage. Basically, every hip-hop media outlet on YouTube was talking about him, and his situation was getting tons of publicity. He was getting King Von comparisons, and fans started glazing him in the way that they do every rapper that passes away. Lil Scoom was already buzzing before, but after Lil Jeff passed, he began getting even more attention. However, in July, just 1 month after Jeff passed, Scoom would also meet an early end after he was backdoored by a female in the rack. The same day Scoom passed, Fatso dropped the music video for his song Unusual Slander, where he had dissed Scoom. He would also end up going on live and trolling him. The passing of both Jeff and Scoom so close to each other would generate even more attention, shining a huge spotlight on the Bloodhound name, and as a result, Bloodhound Q50 saw his career taking off. A week after Scoom passed, Q50 dropped a song with all three of them on it, and it instantly went up. He followed this up with another big record called Splash Bros, but then at the end of July, he was arrested after he was caught with a switch. While Q50 was locked up, Traveler Ross dropped a 3-hour documentary on Bloodhound Lil Jeff, which, as usual, contained top-tier detective work breaking down all the allegations around his name. This documentary put even more eyes on the Bloodhounds and their crazy situation. Q50 was eventually released in early August, but just a month later, Traveler Ross dropped a 2-hour documentary on his alleged 8 bodies. Around the same time, Fatso dropped a song called Bougie Hoes that blew up, becoming arguably the biggest song of his career. At the end of the month, he dropped a mixtape titled A Reaper Ceremony, continuing the run that he was on. Late summer also saw the rise of Baby Chief, a younger rapper who popped up on the scene with huge songs like Snooze You Lose and 6 Times Today. Other newer Chicago drill rappers like Fatso and Chucky were experimenting, switching between the Chicago and Philly drill sounds, but Baby Chief made his name off rapping on beats similar to the OG 2012 to 2015 prime Chicago drill sound. By the end of the summer, the new Chicago drill movement was bigger than ever, and in September, a beef would pop off between Scrooly G and Billionaire Black, shining an even bigger spotlight.
Broke ass niggas ain't talking about shit. Always screwy this and screwy that. Tell them niggas get off my dick.
Scrooly G was a rapper from Gary, Indiana, a city 40 minutes away from Chicago. He started blowing up in late 2023 after dropping a video for a song called F the Ops that showed footage of his music video getting sprayed up and his crew returning fire. After this video blew up, he went on a crazy run through 2024, passing 1 million views on every song he dropped for months straight. He collaborated with Chicago rappers like Vonoff1700 and Big Op, and given the fact that his city was 40 minutes away, many considered him part of the new Chicago drill movement. In September, he previewed a song where he said if he caught an op trying to shop at the store, he would pop out on him and do him like Duck. He claimed this wasn't a diss, just a reference to the Duck situation because Duck was shopping when his ops had got him, but FBG and their side weren't trying to hear it. Rappers like Billionaire Black, King Yella, and Swag Dinero were quick to react and blast him for dissing. Screwly took the song down, but then a couple weeks later, he dropped an official diss where he took shots at Billy, Yella, and Swag Dinero. He featured Bloodhound Q50, who decided to diss Tuka, one of FBG's fallen members. Billy had heard the preview and made a diss reply, so when the Screwly diss dropped, he released his an hour later, dissing him back. Then he dropped part 2 to diss Q50 and the Bloodhounds. Billionaire Black beefing on songs with Screwly G and Q50 was a full circle moment in drill because he and Duck beefing with Ide was the beginning of the back and forth dissing in drill. Other FBG members like Young and Dutchy also responded with disses of their own aimed at Screwly G and Q50. Screwly and Q50 didn't respond to any of the disses, and Q50 took to IG to act like he was now too gangster to rap beef and would handle things in the streets. This brings us to the present day. The new Chicago drill scene has everybody's attention. Unfortunately, by this point, we know how things end. A couple rappers will think they can stay in the city without any repercussions and it'll cost them their lives. A couple will crash out and get long sentences, and a select few smart ones will get out the city and use the opportunity to expand beyond drill. But although we know how it ends, there's no telling how much time is left. It could be as many as 3 years or less than 1. We'll just have to wait and see.